To the 11, we're back. West Ham take on Leicester on Sunday in a clash of the top four sides. Who thought I'd be sitting here saying that right now? But I am. We're only 4 points behind Leicester City. It is a very, very tough game. I know they lost to Man City. West Ham come the back of a win over Wolves, but it's going to be a lot tighter than I think a lot of people will think on the outset. I think we're going to have to compete probably outside of our own remit, given our squad, the injuries, how imbalanced it's probably going to become. You look at Leicester as well; they've been able to get a couple of players in there regularly, Tielemans and Didi, James Maddison coming back in. So it's a very tough game for West Ham to try and compete in. But I am going to go through the West Ham predicted 11 first and foremost. Lucas Fabianski in goal, no surprises. I think it's a tough one because against Wolves, he wasn't really troubled, let's be honest. I think they had a couple of chances in our box, but the reality is I think they weren't very clinical. They weren't trying to play on the shoulder. They weren't trying to stretch us too much. I think Leicester will do that, and that's why I worry about our back three at times, or even our back five, because if Leicester try and press high up against West Ham, force us into areas, we get out of that shape, they beat our midfield, then Lucas is going to have to be called upon. Now, he is very, very good at turning up in those one-to-one moments. And you look at Kelechi and Nacho, you look at Jamie Vardy, he's got to be switched on. But that is a bit of advice I think that we need for the entirety of this back five. Vladimir Soufal coming in on the right wing-back side. Struggled. He did struggle against Adama. Adama had him on toast, to be honest. I don't think it helped having Nobes on that side either. It was really problematic for us. You look at Leicester playing wing-backs, if they've got Castagna down that left, it's not going to be any easier. The only thing I'd say is Maddison and Tielemans and Ndidi, they're all going to be in those central pockets. So I think in terms of West Ham dealing with that midfield battle, everything will try and be in front of them, but they could try and create width, use their front men to do it, run the channels. Castagna, Pereira, stretch us a bit. So Soufal has certainly got a massive job on his hands. Adama is probably one of the few people I've seen this season deal with him. I can't remember the last time Soufal's really struggled against anyone one-to-one. So I'm going to back my man. Craig Dawson, right-hand side of the centre-back three. I think he just stays there purely because he was there against Wolves. Against Wolves, Issa Diop was problematic. Dawson probably would be my first choice as a central centre-back because he's commanding, wins the ball. I think Diop got it there because it was his licence to go and get on the front foot and win that first ball. Again, you worry about Dawson from a mobility standpoint. I thought he panicked as well at times in the box. I think he played one pass across the box and it gave Wolves a chance from distance. And I think we've got to get that out of that game. And I don't know whether it's composure, particularly with the changes to the back three at the minute, but we've got to try and get that out of our game, particularly against the Leicester side who, listen, Jamie Vardy's not been in lightning form, but he will always put us under pressure and he'll always force us into errors. So this West Ham side have either got to go long or be composed when we're trying to get out from the press. Centre-back, main centre-back, Issa Diop. I've said my piece about Issa. I didn't think he was very good against Wolves at all. I thought he's at fault for possibly two of the goals. Again, I think it suits him when he's allowed to go and get on the front foot and win the ball and be aggressive. And I think, to be fair to him, he can carry that ball out. He's not brilliant in distribution, but he's more than comfortable coming out with the ball. So I can understand why he plays as the main centre-back. But again, his concentration, he's got to switch on. And he's got to communicate as well with Cress. Because if Cress gets pulled out of position, the likelihood is with Kelechi and Vardy that Creswell is going to have to come and try and deal with that. So again, Diop and Dawson have to communicate a lot better. And we've got to stop those chances because particularly with Leicester's midfield, Tielemans, Maddison, making late runs into the box, that's where the problems will come from. So again, communication is right on the top of the priority list. Aaron Creswell. Listen, Creswell speaks for himself in terms of starting on that left-sided centre-back. I didn't think he was great either against Wolves. I know we got the win, but defensively, it's just those lapses of concentration. They hit the switch pass a fair bit, and they got in behind Creswell and Noble covered for him. I'm not sure we're going to get the same luxury. I think Wolves were very one-dimensional in their attack. I thought everything was in front of us. When it went over the head, it was only Pedro Neto or it was Podence in a pocket of space in front of the back three. This Leicester side are going to be multifaceted. So Creswell needs to be compact. He needs to keep tight. We need to keep our shape. But he can use his distribution to affect. Use the channels. Try and stretch them. If West Ham do commit men forward, he can beat their press. And I would envisage West Ham should try and go long when we're beating Leicester's press and not play through it. I don't think we've got the players to do it at the minute, particularly with someone like Declan Rice out the side. Left wing back Masuaku, again, picks himself because of his performance. I'm not saying he was outstanding in the same way that I thought Nobes was, but I thought just what he gives us on the ball, a bit of composure, a really good technical player. We didn't even really see him get in that final third much, and he still got an assist, and that intelligence in that final third when we need it, again, is another facet to our play. He can come to a back five. I think he's got decent defensive attributes in terms of pressing. Positionally, we know he's always off because that's why he'll never play as a conventional left back. But he will offer something in terms of pressing up against the Ricardo Pereira, making it difficult for Leicester to advance, stopping them pressing onto us. So I think he is a bit of a no-brainer in terms of playing on this side. I wouldn't go Ben Johnson just because I think West Ham have got to try and play out from the press and get forward at times. And listen, David Moyes isn't going to sit behind the ball for 90 minutes. He's going to want this side to go and attack. And I think Arthur, Soufal, they offer that athleticism that I do think we need in those wide areas. The centre midfielders. This man, Mark Noble, who, despite some protestations, I believe had a very good game. And again, but I did say he was against the Wolves side that, again, I felt were a little bit one-dimensional. The midfield really consisted of Neves, Dendoncker. We're not talking about mobile midfielders or even really like intelligent players to get forward and get into those spaces. You look at Leicester, Maddison, Ndidi, Tielemans, really dynamic players that can get beyond, can counter-press. Different ball game in this game for me. Nobes, I think, naturally should just sit a bit deeper anyway. You know, if you want to go to almost like a 5-1-2-2, if you can even call it that, just sit deeper, slot into spaces, let Creswell get forward at times if West Ham want to try and get that ball forward quickly, but don't go and press them in the midfield. And I think that's my only problem in this game about how West Ham will play. Because when you're playing that 5-3-2, really and truthfully, you've got to go and press squeezes aside and sitters aside. And that's what you lose when you've not got Declan Rice in there. And I think that's my concern. That's why a lot of these games have become basketball matches, end-to-end stuff, transitional play. And you just look at the transitions that Leicester can perform against our midfield. I really wouldn't favour it. So Nobes, for me, has got to sit a bit deeper, cover the spaces as he did against Wolves, and just keep his position nice and compact. The other two centre midfielders, Thomas Souček, I don't believe he had a brilliant game. And I think it's just that kind of composure on the ball. He gave the ball away a few times. You know, this midfield has got to be intelligent to be a midfield as well balanced and as aggressive and talented as that Leicester midfield. In terms of not only just keeping shape, but keeping the ball and playing the ball in the right areas. I think Noble, generally speaking, apart from his pace, is an intelligent enough player to play the ball that he's not going to put his centre-backs under pressure or he's not going to lose it going forward. But I think Souček wants to get the ball forward, aggressive, great ball carrier, wants to do that. I'm not sure he's going to get the license in this game to do so, particularly when you look at Mark Noble and you look at Pablo Fornals. Souček, I believe, is going to be employed maybe slightly deeper, but his decision-making has to improve for me. Going forward, again, the superlatives never end. Brilliant in the air, additional runs, breaking defensive lines, a completely unique player from that standpoint. But just because of the way that our midfield is balanced going into this game, I think he's got to position himself slightly deeper. Pablo Fornals, I thought he played well against Wolves. Again, and what was interesting to see is how he kind of joined that attack with a bit of a fluid front three, where it felt like we were attacking with Antonio, Lingard, Fornals, probably more of that conventional 3-4-3 that we've seen this season. I think Fornals' work rate is absolutely pivotal to this game in terms of tracking back. I think, unfortunately, someone like an Ndidi can put him under pressure. Fornals actually against Man City was incredibly composed in possession. I thought he took his finish very well against Wolves. And I wonder whether Fornals is becoming a little bit more relaxed in this league. And I think that, again, is an attribute that we need in this midfield, where we could possibly get pressed into positions we don't like. We possibly can't even play out of that position. Just either to be able to go long or play the right pass and make the right decision, I think is what West Ham need to break out of that Leicester press. And then the front two. I've taken Mikel Antonio out the side because I'm not convinced he'll be fully fit. And I don't know whether with the running that we've got of 8 games, with some of those games that we've got in there that we can win, is it worth risking him in a game like this? It takes away from our attack, our ability to carry the ball. Our ability to hold the ball for long enough to get the attack forward is probably more what I'm talking about. But let's start with Jesse Lingard, who, again, absolutely sublime. I thought he was tremendous against Wolves. Off the ball, pressing, stopping them getting out from their shape. I know they played out and West Ham didn't really commit a front press in the way that we normally do, but certainly just putting them under pressure, carrying the ball from deep. He's absolutely ridiculous at. But his composure in front of goal. You know, I spoke about a West Ham side earlier in the season against Wolves and Leicester, ironically, that were clinical. When we got on the attack, we finished our chances and our XG was probably next to nothing. But Lingard is adding to it. He's a very interesting number 10. And not many number 10s can flip between the lines, run out and beyond, can track back, can create that 5-4-1 that we need to sort of compact the space and make it hard for teams to play through us. And he's that link. And he's so important to this game. Jared Bowen obviously comes in. If you're not going to play Mickey, Bowen's got to come in. And I thought Bowen took his finish really well, by the way. That's not an easy finish. Near post against Patricio. There's probably only one place you could really hit it, which was against the post. And he did it. I said this about Lingard and I've said this about Bowen. They can't keep the ball as well as Mikel Antonio. They can carry the ball. Bowen can offer really good movement from central areas that can make this more of a conventional front two. And I think against the back three with possibly some injuries in there, not some regulars for Leicester, we can take advantage of that. But the reality is, can we hold that ball well enough to get men forward to really hurt Leicester? That's my only concern in this game. And I wonder whether the wing-backs are really important for those transitions in allowing Bowen and Lingard to occupy central areas, get in the box a bit more, because I don't think we can push our midfield as high as we did against Wolves. Leicester, great team. Really impressed with them as a neutral. I think everyone likes Leicester, the way that they run, their stadium, their training ground that we don't have. But they've invested their money really well. There's a few stalwarts from those eras where they won the league, but they've made some really astute decisions in terms of the transfer market. They're fourth in the league, but they're third in the league. They've been top four this season, I think, since the first game week. So this is the type of team that we're coming up against. And they have little blips, but I think Brendan, they've got a good mentality about them. And I think they need to go and win this game. You know, we're not far behind them, 4 points. If we win, we're 1 point. So I think Brendan Rodgers will be aware that he doesn't want to get pulled into a match of, are we going to slip out the top four? Are we going to lose Champions League football? I think that might suit West Ham from a mentality standpoint. I know they're good away from home, but the reality is that they know West Ham got their number last time. Can we do it again? Very tough task. Kasper Schmeichel in goal. I think he's one of the best keepers in the league. Brilliant shot stopper, commanding in the box, wins a lot. He's so important for organisation. You see him barking orders at those centre-backs. And he's also tried to add distribution to his game, which I think a lot of keepers can do. You see that from Pope for England, to be honest. But I think Rodgers wants his side to play out from the back and invite the press and create those traps to hurt West Ham and get us out of shape. I'm not convinced we're going to do it in this game, to be honest. I think Leicester may have a fair bit of the ball. Daniel Amati, probably right-sided centre-back, conventionally a defensive midfielder. It's an area that West Ham should target. Mobility will be a problem. Big, strong, aggressive. I'd say that this back three is good in the box in terms of deliveries, but they have struggled from set pieces, crosses this season. And even though they've got a really great goalkeeper, they haven't quite managed it. And I think that's a lot to do with the zonal marking. To be fair, West Ham have been weak from set pieces and deliveries as well, particularly of late. But I think West Ham, open play, Lingard, Bowen, the pace, mobility in behind, playing on the shoulder of someone like Amati, I think we can get chances. I think that's where West Ham will transition and create a turnover. Johnny Evans, we should have brought him for West Ham. Wesley Fofana, we should have brought him for West Ham. Let's start with Johnny Evans, who I think really goes under the radar for a quality centre-backs, can play out from the back really well, great in the air, a threat, really good organiser, really strong, quite a complete centre-back, but more importantly, what Johnny Evans and Wesley Fofana offer to this Leicester defensive side is they can play out from the press. They can beat a man, they're comfortable in possession, they can invite pressure on and they can beat it, particularly with Wesley Fofana, who for me, at 19 years old, his ceiling is ridiculous. And he's really quick. He's a lot quicker than Johnny Evans, as comfortable on the ball as Johnny Evans, can carry it into midfield. Possibly they even tout him to become a defensive midfielder, but so calm in possession. So I think West Ham have got to watch out for those traps that they could try and set. And I think because they're so comfortable at the back, they can force their midfield to get a bit further forward. When we played them last time, Tielemans, and I know indeed he didn't play, but I think Mendy played a lot deeper. They were playing just in front of those centre-backs because they were a little bit worried, will they get picked off? We did pick them off from long-range deliveries, but these two are very comfortable in terms of playing out from the back. It does mean that their midfield can play a bit higher. Start with the right wing-back, Ricardo Pereira, who again, injury-average season, brilliant last season, one of the best right-backs in the league behind Trent Alexander-Arnold. Distribution. Talk about deliveries into the box. A great relationship with Jamie Vardy. Good finisher of the ball as well. I'm not sure he's back to full fitness, regarding that. Is he going to hurt West Ham consistently over 90 minutes? Is he even going to play 90 minutes? He didn't play against Manchester City for a prolonged period of time. Come on in that second half. Could benefit us. You look at us down that left-hand side. If Fornals is on the left-hand side of a midfield three, you've got Martha Masuaku against a player that's a little bit rusty. Maybe we can take advantage of. But the key difference in this game compared to the Wolves game is that they will use their wing-backs a lot more. They'll be a lot more adventurous than I think Wolves were with Semedo. I think it was Aït-Nouri that played on that left-hand side. So again, I think West Ham have got to be really switched on, probably become more of a conventional back five to deal with it. But equally, I think if you want to create turnovers, you've got to go and try and win that first ball. And I wonder whether we'll see a lot of 1v1s, Pereira, Masuaku, Soufal, Castagna, and whoever wins that battle, I think, will win that transition. So really interesting stuff to watch out for on Sunday. The midfield three, the famed midfield three, people talk about it as one of the most balanced midfield threes in the Premier League. Youri Tielemans, Wilfred Ndidi, and James Maddison. Ndidi and Tielemans predominantly play a little bit deeper, but I think because of their flexibility, their intelligence on the ball, their technical quality that goes under the radar, they've been playing a little bit further up. Tielemans in particular, making those late runs into the box, shots from distance. We know he's got a brilliant passing range anyway, never defensively the most secure, but when you've got someone like Wilfred Ndidi beside you, someone that's going to protect that back three, give Tielemans another partner in there, and can be aggressive in the press, that's where I worry about West Ham in this game. Because you feel that against a Noble and a Fornals, not really conventional centre midfielders, Mark Noble probably lacking that athleticism that you need against this Leicester midfield. We could get beaten. We really, really could, even with the Tielemans. And you worry that if there are turnovers in the middle of the park, it opens up. You're dragging out your back three. Diop's got to go and press, and Vardy and Iheanacho are already in behind. The margin is very, very small in a game like this with a midfield like Leicester's. And Ndidi's up there for the best defensive midfielder in the league for me. Declan Rice, Fabinho, and Ndidi. Rodri maybe this season in terms of the best defensive midfielders. But like I say, willing to play on the front foot as well. Really comfortable in possession. I imagine that Leicester will try and put the press on us. And with the possession that they'll have, both of those two midfielders will play a lot higher. James Maddison, I really like him. I think he's been unlucky with injuries. He never, ever gets credit. It's odd. He never gets credit in terms of best attacking midfielders or number 10s in England. But the truth is he's well up there. He's added to his game. We know he's got shots from distance, brilliant on the half turn, really good technical player. But what he's adding now is runs into the box. And that's where West Ham's back three have really got to switch on. And even the centre midfielders, because Maddison's becoming a more multifaceted player. He's not rapid. He's not super quick, but he's just very, very intelligent in his runs. Brilliant from set pieces, free kicks, deliveries, corners. I think he'll come into the side. I know he didn't start against Manchester City, but I think Brendan Rodgers is a little bit wary of just throwing him in. And they'll look at this game as an opportunity. They'll look at West Ham, injury ravaged, potential problems, changing formation, and they're going to try and hurt us in those midfield areas. And I wonder whether having someone like an Ndidi and a Tielemans on the ball a lot, they're going to try and ask West Ham to get out of their position. And Maddison is a nightmare because now not only is he able to play in those kind of half spaces between West Ham's midfield and defence, but he can get in beyond as well. And that's where we need to watch out for him. The left wing back, Timothy Castagna. Again, they've had real nightmares regarding injuries this season, Leicester. Castagna gets forward, brilliant delivery on the ball, really composed as well. Had a great relationship with Jamie Vardy. You've got to worry about that link up. Down our right-hand side, again, Soufal is the conventional right wing-back. If Noble's on that side, again, I think that's a little bit of a weakness. He's not going to press as well as Fornals, so they could have a lot of joy down that side. And depending on how they use their two centre-forwards, possibly stretching the play, getting into those channels, asking questions of West Ham, I would really worry about that. And I think that's why we can't afford to go up and press a Leicester, even from the front, because if we're out of shape and we're out of position, they're going to absolutely thrive. The two centre-forwards, Kelechi Iheanacho and Jamie Vardy. We'll start with Kelechi. Kelechi was a West Ham target at one point, played under Manuel Pellegrini, joined from Manchester City, but never really hit the ground running. And I think in the past couple of games, he's been lethal. He's such an intelligent football player, composed in front of goal, can find spaces. It didn't work with him as a front man on his own, but they've added Jamie Vardy alongside him, and Vardy's intelligence, the runs that he makes, the movement that we know we've got, is the difference, I think, for Leicester going forward in a 3-5-2, because Vardy's becoming incredibly selfless. He's making selfless runs. He's allowing Kelechi to find spaces within the box. Vardy's adding an element to his game where he's being composed in terms of getting those passes and deliveries into him, and Kelechi's taking advantage of them. So I think this Leicester side have become incredibly selfless regarding how they get results. They're incredibly adaptive. They're intelligent. They're well balanced. That causes all kinds of problems, all kinds of issues, particularly without Declan Rice in the side. It changes everything in terms of how we get on the front foot. It means we've got to be a lot more reserved. We've got to sit back, not necessarily saying a low block, but I think the way that we played earlier in the season, ironically, against Leicester, a 3-4-3, trying to hit him on the counter, use our distribution from long. I know Dawson's got a fantastic long pass on him. Creswell exactly the same. You look at Arthur Masuaku, Soufal, athletic, willing to get forward, can get back. That's where West Ham will get forward in the transitions. I don't think Lingard and Bowen are going to press from the front. It's going to be incredibly tough to force a back three into an error. And I know Amati from open play is possibly the weak point. Again, he could get beaten for pace for 100%. There's no denying that. But the reality is, you look at Leicester, they can get forward and press, and equally Tielemans and Ndidi will sit as well and protect. And I think that's where it's going to become really problematic for West Ham. We're not going to have a lot of the ball in this game, but what I will say is that if West Ham can counter effectively, like we have done in the past 2 games, and even if we don't necessarily score from the counter, we get a set piece, we get a corner. Leicester have been awful from set pieces, like I touched on with the zonal marking system. And although we haven't scored recently from one, Craig Dawson, I was going to say Angelo Ogbonna, hopefully he's back in the squad. Issa Diop, players like that, Thomas Souček, we can really hurt them. We really, really can. And I think if West Ham can get a goal or keep it tight and keep those margins incredibly small, I think we can frustrate them, genuinely speaking, because I feel that Leicester, as good as they've been, I always look at them and think they have to have a lot. Everything has to go their way. They're not an adaptive team. If their game plan doesn't work, if we come up with something that they haven't seen before, if they're becoming very frustrated, can they maintain that patience for 90 minutes? I feel like I saw that against Arsenal, where they were getting outplayed and Arsenal had it absolutely spot on with their game plan. If West Ham get it spot on, not with the formation necessarily, but with the tactics, the way that we press, maybe sitting a little bit deeper, frustrating them, then we give ourselves a really good option in this game. I think it's frustrating that we don't have Declan Rice for a game like this. I've always said that the Chelsea game and the Leicester game are games that if West Ham want to go and get themselves into the top 4, you've got to go and win. But I think given the circumstances now, it's all about momentum. Can West Ham just keep picking up points for us now? Between the Newcastle game, the West Brom games, the Burnley game, Everton's a massive game, Southampton at the end of the season. As long as we keep picking up points and we keep ourselves in that distance, then I'm 100% sure that we can still compete even towards the back end of this season, even with the last 8 games. So let's not lose hope here. In terms of a score prediction, I've gone 1-1. I've got to back West Ham. I think in terms of confidence and momentum going into this game, we've got it on our side. I think Leicester will be cautious, even regarding their mentality. Could they get drawn back into a top 4 battle when really and truthfully they should have been well out of it? And again, you look at David Moyes. We're at the London Stadium. We're up for it. I don't think Moyes looks at Leicester, albeit I personally think they're a big 6 side. I don't think he sees them in that vein. And I think that's what will benefit us. So I know we talk about things like mentality and things that you can't really measure or judge, but I think that has a part to play. A lot of injuries. Maddison, Pereira, are they match fit? Vardy's out of form. Touchwood, he doesn't get a goal against West Ham. But I'm going to back us. I think we get something from breakaway. I think Lingard gets a goal. And I think I'll back us to keep it tight because I think Leicester will try and play through us. And that will benefit us because I think even though we lack athleticism at the minute and we probably lack that natural defensive midfielder in a Declan Rice, I think we've got enough strategically, tactically, mentality-wise to deal with them. So I'm going to end it there. That was the predicted 11 video for West Ham United versus Leicester. If you did like the video, of course, drop a like. It really, really helps the channel. Subscribe to the West Ham Way if you want to see more and more stuff. We've got a match preview tomorrow, depending on when this is out. So it could be yesterday if it's out on the Friday, or if I bring it out on a Wednesday, it'll be tomorrow. It's on Thursday, irrespective of whatever I say. I'm going to try and do an opposition analysis as well. And then we'll have a watch along on Sunday from 1:30. So join us then. Keep tuned. Hit the notification bell as well so you don't miss any of the live streams. We've got loads of stuff coming up. I'll try and come up with new content ideas to keep things fresh. Take care, everybody. Enjoy your Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or even Sunday if you're watching this in the morning. And until next time.